It's time travel coins again. We've gone back 300 years this time to the reign of King George I. He was born on the 28th of May 1660, ascended to the throne on the 1st of August 1714, died on the 11th of June 1727, and because Queen Anne didn't have any descendants, direct heirs, he became king. He was called the Hanoverian succession, as he was the great-grandson of James I. But if you look at the family tree there, he wasn't the most closely related. It should have been really James Stuart, but because he was a Catholic, he was excluded. So the crown went to George I, and as a result of that, there was a rebellion against that, the Jacobite Rebellion of 1715, which failed. So George stayed on as king. So I'll run through the coins, smallest to largest as usual, and starting with the worst one I've got. So it does get better from here. This is a very low grade farthing, copper farthing, dated 1719. Still got the Britannia reverse at the back. Not a great coin, not in great condition. But they are getting quite scarce now. Even the farthings are getting quite scarce now. So even this coin would get about £7 or so, I think, in auction. Slightly better grade is the halfpenny I have. Just hold that up to the light a bit better so you can see. There he is, George I. Spoke German, didn't speak English, didn't want to learn English when he came. This one's 1724. I'd probably give this a fine grade. Probably value it in auction about £12. So we'll move up to the silver coins. And this time at the Royal Mint, the master of the Royal Mint was Isaac Newton, the famous scientist. So he was in control of the quality of the coins. And here we have that tiny silver penny. It's the obverse. And reverse, 1718. I'd say very fine. It was quite rare. It's about £45 for that in auction. You can see how small it is there next to the farthing and the halfpenny. Next up is the threepence. Same obverse. Maintaining the number 3 for the threepence. The design of that 3 does change from monarch to monarch. In decent grade, I think this coin perhaps value about £75. Very fine. Here's the sixpence I have. On the reverse of this coin, got some extra letters. See that? So the letters SSC, which stands for South Sea Company. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the South Sea Bubble. It wasn't a giant blue whale with flatulence. It was the sharp rise and fall of the South Sea Company shares, which was a company set up by the Tory government, where government debt was exchanged for shares, and it showed this huge spike in share prices and a big collapse. It was the first real stock market crash, if you like. And George I got a bit of bad publicity for that because he sold in time and he was the governor of that company. I think Isaac Newton had shares as well and he sold his. So they didn't make losses, but the general public did. And in the end, I think some of the finance directors of that company got charged with fraud. But the company continued, so all that happened in 1720. So this is 1723 shilling, and it's one of the easier ones to find, the ones with the SSC. I think they put the initials on of that company just to give that company a bit more credibility again, tried to recover its reputation, because it did continue. It was a trading company, mostly around South America, and unfortunately was involved in the slave trade at the time. So the silver was sourced by them through trading in South America. Next up we have the shilling. And as we saw on the George II coins in my earlier video, we've got all these different letters and abbreviations around the edge of the coin. It stands for George, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France and Ireland, Defender of the Faith. Of course, we didn't really rule France at this time. It was our historical claim to France. Plain angles on the reverse, 1720. Now there's a large O version of this coin and a smaller O. I think this is the large O, but let me know if I've got that wrong. There's not a huge difference in price. I think the large O is slightly scarcer, so it has a bit more value. I'd say the sixpence and this probably around £45 to £50 in auction. Then finally, the star of the show. I don't have the crown, unfortunately. They're really expensive. Over £1,000 for anything half decent. So here's my half crown. And again, these are quite scarce as well. Difficult to buy. Almost scraping in a fine grade. I think this coin's heavy wear on the hair. But the main details are there just. Here's the reverse. So you can see the design a bit better, and it's got the roses and plumes as well in the angles. So the silver from this coin came from Wales, and we've got the three lions and the Scottish rampant lion in the top shield following the unification of Scotland and England. Got the three fleur-de-lis for France, the Irish harp and the Hanover coat of arms on the left. In the centre would have been that St George's cross, but it's quite worn. Value wise, in auction, I think £300 for this coin, even though it's not in great condition. There are just not many of them out there. So there we have my George I collection. Obviously the numbers of coins has gone a bit smaller from the other monarchs I was showing you. Next up, I'll be going back further and show you my Queen Anne coin collection. Thanks for watching.